out of that place. We are not seeing anything wrong with that. Benue State, stronghold of the PDP. You have been swept out of that place. You are not seeing anything by the Labour Party. You are not seeing anything wrong with that. Lagos, the votes that the Labour Party had captured in Lagos actually were votes that traditionally belong to the PDP. You have been denied of that by the Labour Party in Lagos. You are not seeing anything wrong with that. And yet you are doing a kind of romance with the Labour Party that people really do not understand.
I'll come to this question, but let me respond to some things he said. In 2019, when we lost the presidential election, we mounted a legal challenge. And the legal challenge, our claim at the time was that the APC had rigged the elections. That was our claim. In 2019, we did not call for the cancellation of the elections. I want to make that point.
I understand. I do know that President Goodluck made the call.
That what we are saying now is that I'm not interested in the outcome of the flawed process, because the process is flawed. That's my point. So Labour won Lagos State, but Labour is saying the election should be cancelled. Kanu, like NMPP, like you saw, won Kanu, but they are saying the election should be cancelled. We won 12 states, but we are saying the election should be cancelled. It's not about the outcome in a democracy. It's that the law wasn't followed. So it doesn't matter that INEC allocated Kanu to NMPP and allocated Lagos to Labour Party, and that's what should assuage
so your complaint mainly is about the process.
We should assuage it. It is that fundamentally the elections were illegal and flawed. And
that's what I'm saying. It's mainly about the process.
That's what it is. Okay. And so then we can, if we address that, we can then talk about Edo State and the issues in Edo State and what happened. We can then talk about Rivers.
The flawed part of the process. For instance, I know that before the part of the requirement for election is that political parties should have agents.
Yes.
Right from the polling units to the various coalition centers that were like bus stop. Up to PDP had 176,558 coalition agents and 9,539 coalition agents at the different coalition points. You have 176,558 polling unit agents, because we have 176,846 polling units. So that means you ought to have agents in every polling unit in the country, because that was what you submitted to INEC. Apart from that, you also have agents at the various coalition stops, from the wards, from the polling units to the wards, to the local governments, to the states. That's what made up 9,539 coalition agents that you have, and list and names that you submitted to INEC.
So I think you are putting the
because it's part of the process.
I agree. I think you are putting the cart before the horse. So you are now saying that if we have these results, we should be able to mount a legal challenge. That's what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the reason for you to have agents is stated in the law, which is that at every polling unit where results are declared, agents are to sign and get a copy. That's the first stage. The first stage is that you are actually to get a copy. The last stage is that the polling officer will then take a photograph of the result and then transmit it. That's the final stage. So the first crucial stage actually is that you are supposed to have agents who have the results, signed original copies of the results.
The polling agent of my unit is my cousin, Enime. She's a lady.
Did she have a copy of the...
She had a copy. The polling unit results submitted by INEC, this is it, uploaded 48 hours later, was signed by a man and altered. Again, I'm putting it in the screen, I'm showing you guys. My cousin Enime was my polling unit agent. It was booth 10. There were 4 polling units in that primary school. She signed it, we saw the results. What was uploaded was signed by a man and altered. So there will be a legal challenge, no doubt, if my principal wants to go that route. But I am saying, even before accredited a fundamental breach, why are we celebrating the president-elect and why are we announcing results when you know that there has been a fundamental breach?
Do his job. You mean the media should not have?
I think
the media should not have announced that INEC has declared a president elect?
I think the media should announce that INEC broke the law, because you have the law in front of you.
That's a claim.
It's not a claim. I wish you would read it.
That's a claim.
And ask and tell your audience.
That's why I asked the question. That's why I asked the question. No, what was the purpose of having agents at the polling unit? And what was the purpose of giving them copies of the result? It is for the parties to be able to do audit of their own and make claims, like we just made a claim here now. The claim you made here now, if your coalition agent are the firm steadfast to reduce this, these are the things he would have presented there, that these are problems we have with this result from here. These results that has just been presented to you cannot be correct, in the sense that along the line there's a particular polling unit in so place in Uromi. This is the result that was turned out from that polling unit. That is not what you have. That's the essence of this elaborate process that we have in the Electoral Act.
Benga, I am talking about a flawed process. I am talking about collation results. You are talking about the polling unit. We voted on Saturday.
Yes.
I am telling you that this polling unit result that you are talking about was uploaded Monday evening, and it was altered. So why are you now asking us, why are you now pushing that responsibility for the alteration to my polling unit agent? I'm saying that INEC did not follow the process. I'm saying that as a candidate-elect has been announced, a president-elect has been announced, INEC still hasn't completed the process. So what exactly? We'll go to a legal challenge, and I'm more than happy to talk about the spoiler effect, where, for instance, like we have 23 million votes, right? Mm-hmm. And almost 14 million vote for our opposition votes. 14 million Nigerians that took part in an election voted against the APC. So they actually have a minority mandate. More Nigerians do not want Tinubu to be president than wanted him to be president.
More Nigerians spread across different political.
More Nigerians.
Mm-hmm. Because we're operating in multi-party.
Yes, I'm saying we have 23 million Nigerians who voted. The majority of them voted against Tinubu.
If we are dwelling on that, what then do we say of the how many millions? If you subtract number of turnout from number of number of people who collected PVC, what do we then say about that?
I think it's an indictment on the APC government, and it's an indictment on the INEC chairman and the Electoral Commission, and it's sort of a sad report on faith in the democratic process.
That
because I think in 2015 we had about 43% voter turnout when we had the Buhari wave, and there was a lot of enthusiasm and hope and the change movement. In 2019 it was dampened to about 34%. As it stands now, this is the lowest election rate turnout we have ever had, at 25%, and it was built on the back of voter suppression and violence. We all saw what happened in the lead up to the elections. We all have seen what happened in the immediate aftermath of the elections. So whilst the president-elect is congratulating Labour for winning Lagos, we saw the violence that was meted out on sections of that society in Lagos. And we can anticipate that there will be more violence and even reduced voter turnout as we go into Saturday's elections. That's the legacy that we are looking at, the legacy of INEC and the legacy of Buhari. And I don't think, again, I said I woke up with a sense of shame, and I have taken a reading of the temperature, that there's despair and hopelessness, because these people literally have us over the barrel of a gun. You cannot celebrate the peace of a graveyard. You cannot.
Okay. Doctor, do you want to respond? And let me just also add this, what he has said, that majority of Nigerians voted against APC, because if you take a look at even the results, Tinubu was able to pull 8.79 million. But if you take a look at what all other parties have brought, about 14 million Nigerians, at least in terms of turnout, not now in terms of people that got PVCs, because we'll come into that later. But in terms of turnout, about over 14 million did not vote APC. They did vote across party lines.
Because there are many.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me start from
but it doesn't take away that they did not vote APC.
You remember I voted for other dogs.
Whatever it is.
You remember I talked about 36% of the voter turnout.
Yes, you did.
Voting for the president, for the president-elect. Now, I also talked about this when I was discussing the lessons from the elections. I hear him loud and clear, but do not forget that what we have had all these years in Nigeria from 1999 is more or less a two-horse race. In 1999, it was a two-horse race. As a matter of fact, up until 2019 election, it was a two-horse race. Nigerians have been clamoring for a third force, which is what Labour provided for Nigerians in these elections. Okay? So, assuming PDP was the one that had 8 point something million, would he argue the other candidates had the 14 million? Would they argue that more Nigerians did not vote for them? I think it's important that we understand that this election is not foolproof. There is no election that is perfect, even in the United States of America. If I listened to an Obasanjo video where he was talking about an election, he said that the British told him that even the dead people were voting in the United Kingdom. So basically what it means is that there cannot be a process that you will say that it is without flaws. But we cannot say, for example, the law says that polls must open at 8 o'clock. The INEC officials did not show up in my polling unit up until past 1 or thereabouts. So are we going to say that because they didn't come at 8 o'clock and polls did not open at 8 o'clock, we should cancel the elections? I think we need to be a bit, careful with the kind of statements we make so that we don't further go up and hit up the polity. I think it's important that we look at this system and say there are flaws without a doubt. Like I said, I'm not standing in for INEC in offering explanation as to why what is supposed to be done is not done. But let me also tell you, as a collation officer at the ward level, it is not your responsibility to go and start checking whether results have been uploaded at the polling units. Your responsibility at the ward level as a collation officer is to tally the papers that has come to you. At the local government level, what you do at the local government level is to collect results from various wards.
And those levels don't have access to.
They don't have access to the system. At the state level, you collect results from the various local governments and you add up, and every agent of a political party signs off on them before they start flying to Abuja. So you come to Abuja, you stand up and say, no, stop, because a polling unit agent did not, or because the system did not work at that time. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with I'm not defending INEC for not doing what they are supposed to do. But we can't throw away the baby with the bathwater. And there were how many of them? 3 political parties had that press conference. You had the chairman of IPAC yesterday saying, please go ahead with the process. There's already a lot of lessons in this, and I do not want to take the shy away from the lessons. 12, 12, 12. Look at that, that's already a win. 12, 12, 12. It just basically shows that Nigeria's democracy is maturing. And let me also respond to the number that he's talking about. What this also goes to show you, because BVAS machine was first used in 2021 in Anambra State elections. What it basically shows you is that we have had issues where we are now cleaning up the system. We have had elections in this country when PDP was in power, the results were being announced when elections were still going on. Are we saying we didn't know that elections were written at some point in this country? No, we've had those, we are coming, and then from there we moved on to card reader. And from card reader, we also had incidence forms that have now been eliminated. With incidence form, somebody would come and say, I didn't see my card, or the system didn't read my card, therefore fill a form. They go ahead and cast a vote, and you can have as many incidences of voting as possible. Yeah. And the BVAS machine is now to eliminate those ones. So you can argue that the numbers are coming down, but you can also argue that maybe the results that we have seen in the past were not a true reflection of the elections that has happened in the country. Do you understand? It's a two-way kind of argument. You can look at it and say, maybe these 2 million that usually come, before these programs that I was telling Nancy, that in 2015, Rivers State and Delta State had over 2 million voters in that election. In this election, they didn't return 500,000 votes in both. So what exactly changed?
There was a point that we had 1.9 million voters in Rivers State on the voter register. And at the end of an election, 1.9 million votes were recorded.
Yeah.
Nobody died. Everybody came out.
Exactly. And that was a PDP state at that time, do not forget.
Yes.
That was a PDP state. So
yes.
I hear the issues, I hear the challenges. I'm not saying that this is a perfect election.
Mr. Dene.
My brother.
Mr. Dene, you raised the issue of what I would call substantial non-compliance.
Substantial
non-compliance.
Borderline criminal.
That's on criminality, yes. You then made allusion to the provisions of the law.
Yeah.
Let me read the provision you were making allusion to, so that we get a clear understanding of your point. It's section 64, isn't it?
64.4, yeah.
64.4.
Yeah.
What about if you didn't, or maybe you stopped at 4, you didn't read it up to 5 and 6?
Continue.
Let me take you to 5 and 6.
I think you should read 4 first.
Okay, let me read 4.
Read 4 so that
a collation officer, that's 64.4.
Yeah.
A collation officer or returning officer at an election shall collate and announce the result of an election, subject to his or her verification and confirmation that the number 1, number of accredited voters stated on the collated result are correct and consistent with the number of accredited voters recorded and transmitted directly from polling units under section 47(2). We're clear with that?
But clear with that.
Yes. Let me leave 5 and actually move to 6. Where during collation of results there is a dispute regarding a collated result, there is a dispute regarding a collated result or the result of an election from any polling unit, the collation officer or returning officer shall use the following to determine the correctness of the disputed result. The original of the disputed result for each polling unit where the election is disputed. B, the smart card reader or other technology device used for accreditation of voters in each polling unit where the election is disputed for the purpose of obtaining accreditation data directly from the smart card reader or technology device. Now, what do you understand?
No, the next one is critical.
That's C.
Read
6C.
Yeah.
Sub 6C. Data of accreditation recorded and transmitted directly from each polling unit where the election is disputed as prescribed under section 47 of this act. Is that what you want to do?
So you can see that in the first instance you cannot collate without cross-checking with data updated.
No, that's not what it is.
Hold on.
It's where
there's no dispute. Let me land. 64.4 says in the first instance where there is no dispute, you would cross-check and verify with data uploaded. Where there is a dispute, it then gives 3 levels of checks you must do.
Yes.
One of which is cross-checking results with data uploaded.
No, that's what the first.
That's what it is.
The original of the results that you have.
It gives 3 conditions that you must fulfill where there's a dispute. You will check your original, you will check the Beavers machine, and then you will check the results with what has been uploaded. These provisions were put in to remove manual accreditation. That's what manual collation. It was a buffer we put in, INEC put in, to make sure that you cannot manipulate results at the polling unit level and at the ward level like used to happen in the past. So when you have a commission that, despite all these provisions that you have very eloquently read out, ignores them and goes ahead to pronounce a winner of an election, then, like I said,
okay, let me come back to Dr. Osem said a lot of things which I don't think you responded to. He made mention of a minority president. I want to get a full sense of your response, though you responded a bit, that the president-elect now should look at himself as a minority president. Then I'll come back to you, Osem, but let me ask you the question so that you get ready. Benga asked a couple of questions earlier, which you've not fully responded to, which is, Labour Party has upstaged the PDP in the traditional PDP states, and you're not bothered about it now. What are you going to be doing about it? Unlike the bromance that we saw yesterday between Labour and PDP, the two presidential. In fact, we were here. It was breaking live here on television while I and Benga were here. The party chairman and the party faithfuls came for a press conference. In less than 1 hour, we saw the vice presidential candidates again. I was like, what exactly is happening? This is interesting times in politics. So how do you respond to that? But just hold your breath. I'll come back to you in a bit.
Okay.
While
thank you,
Doctor.
Thank you, Nancy. I will say that what has happened in this election is a very big win for Nigeria's democracy. And I will not agree that it's a minority president. There are lots of ways you can look at a glass. It's either half full or half empty.
Are the numbers not saying so?
No, I'm coming.
I'm a numbers person. Are the numbers not saying so?
No, I agree with you that the numbers are saying so. And the reason for the numbers saying so is because we now have a third force for the very first time in Nigerian elections history. But the question is, you see, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria provided that numbers are not enough. Majority votes are not enough for you to be declared president. The Constitution says that in addition to that, you are also expected to have a spread, which is to have a minimum of 25% in a minimum of 24 states. Even the Labour Party candidate with all the number of votes did not meet that, didn't have 25% in 24 states. APC had it. And if you also look at the 3 geopolitical zones out of the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. So why would you say that that is a minority president? Somebody that led both in the same numbers in the north, in the southwest, in the north central, and in the northwest geopolitical zones in Nigeria. So I don't think it's an absolute number kind of interpretation, because this will even get, if we have a fourth force in Nigeria, you can find a situation where the number even gets saying that it's important that we begin to look at what the lessons are. The lessons must be that the kind of cooperation or bromance, you called it, that we saw between the Labour Party and the PDP should have happened before the elections. This is a marriage of convenience. This is a case of the enemy to my enemy is my friend. They should have done that before the elections. And maybe if you added 5 million plus 6 million, nobody should be discussing whether APC should be declared president or not. So that's what I'm saying. So if we also have a fourth force in Nigeria, let me tell you, we can't argue so much about this, because the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that is very popular in Katsina State, lost that state to Atiku Abubakar, to Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Lagos, as much as Bola Tinubu have done a lot, lost to Labour. How many sitting governors lost their positions in this election? As a matter of fact, the Southeast Labour wave, 2 people that had no dream of being in National Assembly, they are now all honorable members elect. So we can't look at it and say, simply because we didn't get the president, all hopes are lost. Are you saying we should go back and now reverse, and then for the people that won Senate seats and the House of Assembly, we should cancel the elections? Did we even make sure that those results, are we saying that those results were also uploaded online? So as far as I'm concerned, I think that we will look at the process, and the law of the land is very clear on what you need to do. I like the argument is raising, and I'd like to elevate that discussion. If they have this kind of discrepancies, I don't know who signed, but even that discrepancy should have been raised at the ward level, because here is a polling unit issue. Somebody else have signed the results, as he is alluding now. So shouldn't that information also be passed on to at the ward level? The PDP agent signed. Another PDP agent is at the ward level, signed. Another PDP agent is at the local government level, signed. Another is at the state level, signed. Every result that came to the National Coalition Center were signed by agents of the party. So this is the point I'm trying to make. So clearly, this is a process, that we can look at and say that there are flaws. I confronted the electoral officer in my local government, and I'm saying, how come by 11 o'clock, by 12 o'clock, we haven't seen them? And I said, listen, all the people we brought, some of them turned down the job that they couldn't do the job. Yes, the ad hoc staff. For example, there were INEC office, there were ad hoc staffs that were supposed to go to certain areas that have security challenges, and they didn't go. So they started jostling officers in the morning of the election. That was the explanation that they gave. In fact, result sheet didn't come on time. Because when we started the BVAS, the password wasn't right. I had to go and drive and get the SPO or the RATEC officer that was in charge to come back and give the password to the APO that was in charge of the BVAS. So there are these challenges that we have witnessed. Okay, just let me interrogate this further. Yes. With what the explanation the person gave you there. Yes. That the people did not want to come, the ad hoc officials. Yes. Were those ad hoc officials, they must have been paid and they refused to do the work? I really don't know the payment system or what has happened with INEC. But if you come to voting, people turned out at 8 o'clock in the morning. And you can see everybody is there willing to exercise their franchise. And you can see it, and it's always very frustrating. So people stayed. I had to come. I had to put a call through to say, what the hell is going on? It is 11 o'clock. It is 12 o'clock. Your staff are not here. And that was the explanation that they gave me. And I can understand, because if you are an ad hoc staff and they say that you should go to a place where you know that there are security challenges, chances are that you may say no.
And most of the ad hoc staff, are they not youth corps members?
Youth corps members.
And
not just youth corps members, they are also university lecturers.
Yes, university lecturers.
Yes,
but some of them are also youth corps members. And I know that even this period, we've seen a lot of harassment on the youth corps members. But I want us to come to that later during the discussion. I didn't just want to leave that out. So you can continue.
So what I'm saying is that you find a problem in the electoral process. It's a process. Election is not just an event. It's a process from primaries to campaigns to the election proper to collation to announcement of result and declaration. So this is a process. So you find a problem in the process. It's almost like saying, because the polls didn't open at 8 o'clock, therefore we don't need you here. So we had to stay back. Even at night, people were still voting. We were lucky we had electricity in the place. So we insisted that whoever that lined up must be allowed to cast their votes. So even before the collation started at the ward level, it was already late into the night. But like I said, our agents were trained. You know what to do. You look out for overvoting. Ensure that this number tallies with this one, so that it's a situation where the total votes cast is more than the number of those that were accredited by the BVAS machine. It already raises a red flag. And you remember that in the course of presentation of results, the question is asked, are there cancellations, and what are the reasons for the cancellations? One of the reasons you hear most of the vice chancellors and the state resident electoral commissioner talk about is issue of overvoting, because once you document that total vote cast is more than the number that has been accredited, it just technically means that that result is invalid. So that's obviously what is going on. So I'd like to say that it's important that we appreciate the progress we've made. We are not at the very best place we should. I mean, this is 2023. Technology should help us, get certain things better. But we have also made progress. We are not where we used to be. I'm saying that when PDP was in power, we know of elections, processes still on the field and results are announced. We know that results are written. We also know some of the complications we've had within the system. But we are not where we used to be. We've made progress. So I hear them, but I also feel that there are laid down procedures. We are not a lawless country. If something has not gone right, like he's just rightly pointing out, I expect that these are the plethora of issues you must put together and challenge the process and go to the court and say, this is not right. And I believe that if you can prove your case, why won't you be able to get the judgment?
Okay, also, respond to what he said just before you come back. Sorry, because I got something from what he said. All your polling agents, did they actually do the needful? You just showed us a certificate, a document there on your phone. Did your polling agents do the needful at the ward level? If discrepancies were noted, did they do the needful stages?
Let me give you the coloration of law. Okay. What is the essence under the Electoral Act? What is the essence of having polling units? Polling unit agents, collation agents, up to the final level of collation under the Electoral Act. What is the essence? What did the law aim to achieve by mandatorily asking political parties to have a list of polling units agents submitted to INEC?
Okay, so the PDP has had, I think we had agents in all the polling units.
Everywhere.
We have a situation room, as I'm sure you know, it's not too far from here. So we have the polling unit agent results. We have that. And like I said, if we are going to mount a legal challenge, it will be on the back of those result sheets. The PDP chairman had already said that there are discrepancies between what is being reported and what we have. The Labour Party chairman has said the same thing. They believe they won Lagos by a much larger margin and results were turned down. NNPP have said the same thing. The ADC chairman said the same thing. So we all have all of that, and if there's going to be a legal challenge, that is what we will use. But laws are not made in a vacuum. We always had polling unit agents, and we always had ward collation and local government collation and state collation. But elections were, like my brother said, still being written and manipulated.
I didn't say so.
No, you said under PDP now, we were writing results. Yeah. You can't take back, and I will address that point. So the point of this innovation is to elevate our electoral process above the manipulation of politicians and bad faith actors. That was the point of electronic transmission. So when you see, I recall in 2007, the 2007 election was a heavily disputed election. President Yar'Adua, late Umaru Yar'Adua at the time, when he came up, He didn't exhibit the triumphalism you are seeing the APC exhibit on your mandate we shall stand. He didn't do that. He came up and he was sober. He recognized he was a minority president and the beneficiary of a flawed electoral process. And he committed, the first thing he did, he didn't start campaigning and saying, come, let us share the national cake. He said, I will review this flawed process and I promise you that it will be better. And since 2007, we have had electoral reform processes that have moved the dial forward up until now. I cannot believe that in 2023, my brother is referring to 2007, and that is the standard. PDP did it before, so it is okay that we do it again.
No, that's not what I meant.
That's what you're inferring.
No, that's not what I meant.
Because 2023's elections are not the best we've had. They are actually the worst. Because we watch live on television, I watch it on your station, an INEC commissioner, a chairman, violate the law. And when he was called to order, he refused and said, I will do what I'm going to do. And then when I conclude the process, I will come back and review my legality. That is what he said. That's what we are celebrating here. That is what you are celebrating.
No, that's not what I said. Don't
you have a minority.
He said he will come back and conclude review his illegality.
We have again.
No.
Just hold on. Just like we had in 2007. Yes. We have a minority president who is the beneficiary of a flawed process, and I think the APC should be sober.
No. The point you made about the INEC chairman.
When all the political parties, the majority of them challenged him, he said he will complete the process.
Yes.
And then the 7 days period he has, he will go back and review.
Don't you think that he was alluding to the section of the
was, of course.
You see, because unlike before, unlike previous elections, where once elections are held and returns are made, at that time, returns were made whimsically. And once returns were made, the next place you can go to will be the tribunal. But under this electoral act, you now have like a court before the real court.
Yes.
And that court before the real court is the collation and returning officer. After collating, he has two functions. After collating, that's one job. Before making a return, political parties can intervene and raise claims and objections. At that point, it serves as a court. That's what this section, if you read it again, Benga, I'd like you to read it, please.
I've read it. Benga, I have to ask you, do we have a president-elect? Has a return been made?
Because you didn't take it.
Let's not deceive ourselves. I think if I feel pain, it's for young Nigerians, because they truly believed in this process. And one of the reasons we have elections, cyclic elections every 4 years, is that they allow us resolve conflict. You don't like this policy, you don't like this president. Okay, 4 years, let us give a vote of confidence or no confidence. That is the nature of elections. And Nigerians, young Nigerians especially, came out and said, you know what, with this electoral act, our votes and our voices will count. And they are watching in real time this process being subverted. That's what they are watching. And if you follow the conversation online and offline, young people are saying they are destroying their PVC, they are saying they will never be engaged in the process, they are making plans to leave the country. I think the APC should be sober and reflective and find a way to fix it.
But why the APC is doing that? I'm asking you, Mr. What is your honest interpretation of the entire Section 64? What is your honest interpretation of it? And where the lawmakers, because all of us clamor for us to have something like it.
Yes.
When we were clamoring for, what do you think the intention was? Your honest assessment of this section.
My honest intention was that I think the drafters of the law and the people who pushed the law wanted to take away collation and the manipulation of results from the hands of politicians and bad faith actors. They wanted to give citizens the right, they wanted to give them that right to say, you know what, once you have voted at the polling unit, stay here, make sure it's uploaded so that nobody can manipulate it. But when you have a situation, like I don't want to use Kano or Zamfara, my polling unit, where it is 48 hours later, a manipulated result is uploaded. What faith do you have in the process? We will challenge, right? But then you are now asking us to lay our case before a man who to my mind had broken the law.
Now, can I actually get you, because I'm trying to follow the process between you and Benga, and it happens that I'm in the middle. Yeah. So let me follow this process. Benga is saying you are empowered by the law to do the needful.
Yeah, but there's a first court, which is INEC.
INEC. Yes. I have also listened to you. You have your document, and you said you have every document to back you up in case you want to approach the legal way. But I want to ask now, all this process, for example, which one was uploaded online that you saw it was a flawed result? Was it at the point of the polling unit, or was it when it passed through the whole process that perhaps if your polling agent has gone to the ward, to local government and all of that, and those results were still tracked and right, then all of a sudden you saw it online that it was wrong? At what point did it come out wrong?
I'll answer to what I can speak to first. Specifically.
That's for your own now.
At my polling unit, results were written. Labour Party unfortunately won. My cousin.
They won.
No,
can't be unfortunate.
To me, don't forget that you are friends now. So there's no. To me, as a PDP politician, I was unfortunate because we saw it coming. But anyway, Labour Party unfortunately won. My cousin signed the result sheet, right? What then happened was that they took the picture, they took it, the agent took it, and there was a belief that it was uploaded, right? I am now saying that I started tracking that result because I have a personal stake in the election, and it wasn't on the portal, it wasn't uploading, so we felt there was a technical glitch. We heard INEC servers were attacked maybe more than 400 times, and that was what maybe crashed their servers. We don't know and we don't care. But
you care, that's why you also
we don't